Your birthday is coming up. Someone smiles and asks, "So what are you doing for your birthday?" And you answer, casually, "Nothing. It's just another day." And suddenly, the room shifts. People look confused. Some look concerned. A few even look offended. Your friends assume you're going through something. Your family thinks you're being stubborn. And society quietly suggests that if you're not planning cake, candles, and a carefully filtered photo, something must be wrong with you. But what if nothing is wrong? What if the person who doesn't feel the need to celebrate isn't broken, but operating from a place most people don't understand? Psychology actually has something to say about this. And what it reveals speaks less about you and more about the people who judge you. So let's talk about it. There's a group of people nobody really acknowledges. The ones who didn't decide to stop celebrating. Life decided for them. Back in 1967, psychologist Martin Seligman identified a phenomenon called learned helplessness. He discovered that when people experience repeated disappointment without control over the outcome, their brain adapts. It stops trying, not out of weakness, out of efficiency. Now think about birthdays. Birthdays are expectation machines. They're built on anticipation. You expect people to remember. You expect to feel seen. You expect the day to carry weight. And neuroscience backs this up. Researchers Schultz, Diane, and Montague found that dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, doesn't just respond to good things happening. It responds to the difference between what you expected and what actually happened. That gap matters. So imagine being young. You imagine the party, the calls, the messages, the feeling of being special. And maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe it's forgotten. Maybe it's small. Maybe it feels off. Not once, but several times. Your brain starts noticing the pattern, and eventually it adjusts. It lowers the expectation. It reduces the emotional investment. It stops predicting the reward, because hoping, when it repeatedly hurts, becomes too expensive. So when someone shrugs and says, "It's just another day," that sentence might not be indifference. It might be adaptation. It might be armor. But not everyone who skips their birthday carries scars. There's another group entirely. These are the people who genuinely forget their own birthday. Not because of trauma, not because of sadness, but because their mind is juggling 17 responsibilities at once. Psychologists call this time blindness. When you're deeply immersed in work, goals, projects, or just surviving daily demands, dates lose their emotional charge. Weeks blur together. The calendar becomes functional instead of symbolic. For these people, their birthday isn't avoided. It's simply filed under not urgent. Right next to the dentist appointment, they keep rescheduling. And the to-do list that somehow keeps growing instead of shrinking. It's not self-neglect. It's cognitive overload. And if that sounds familiar, there's nothing wrong with you either. Then there's the third group. The ones who didn't forget. The ones who aren't protecting themselves. The ones who looked at the entire ritual of birthday celebrations and genuinely thought, "I'm okay without this." No resentment, no sadness, no hidden longing, just neutrality. Psychologists Edward Deci and Richard Ryan, through self-determination theory, found that the healthiest forms of happiness are internally generated. They come from autonomy, competence, and connection, not from external ceremonies. Some people simply don't rely on ritual to validate their existence. They've stepped off what researcher Philip Brickman called the hedonic treadmill, that endless cycle of chasing the next milestone, the next celebration, the next emotional high, only to adapt to it days later. They realize something powerful. If you only feel special one day a year, you're outsourcing your worth. And they chose not to. While others wait for candles to feel valued, these people learn how to feel complete on a random Wednesday afternoon. And that can make people uncomfortable. Because when you don't need the party, it quietly challenges the belief that everyone does. It questions the assumption that joy must be loud, that love must be public, that meaning requires witnesses. But here's something important. Not everyone who avoids celebration is free. Some are protecting something fragile. Picture being 8 years old. You've counted down for weeks. You told your classmates. You imagine the balloons, the cake, the moment everyone gathers around you. And the day comes, and it's quieter than you imagined. Maybe someone forgot. Maybe fewer people showed up. Maybe it just didn't feel how you pictured it. You don't make a scene. You just adjust. Next year, you expect a little less, and then a little less. Research on what's called the anniversary effect shows that our brains don't just remember emotionally charged dates. They reactivate the feelings attached to them. Even years later, the calendar moves forward, but emotionally, parts of us stay behind. That younger version of you might still exist somewhere inside, still calculating how much hope feels safe. There's also another layer to this. Psychologist Jennifer Crocker studied contingencies of self-worth, the idea that some people tie their value to specific outcomes. For some, birthdays become a test. If people show up, I matter. If they don't, maybe I don't. So instead of risking that verdict, they opt out entirely. Not from strength, from self-protection. And that distinction matters. There's a difference between not needing something and convincing yourself you don't need it. So if this resonates, pause and ask yourself gently, is this freedom or is this fear? There's no judgment in either answer, just awareness. Because maybe we've misunderstood what celebration means in the first place. We've been taught that making a big deal equals caring, that a party equals love, that public acknowledgement equals value. But what if self-worth doesn't require witnesses? What if real self-love isn't about throwing a party, but about not requiring one to feel whole? Maybe someone watching this spent their last birthday alone, not abandoned, not forgotten, just quiet. And maybe the quiet felt sufficient. If that's you, you're not strange. You're not cold. You're not broken. You might just belong to a quieter tribe, people who don't measure their existence by noise. And still, you're allowed to celebrate if you want to. You're allowed to do nothing if that feels honest. You're allowed to change your mind next year. You're allowed. If this message found you, maybe it's because part of you needed permission, not to throw a party, but to stop explaining yourself. And if you've ever spent a birthday alone and felt completely at peace with it, know this. There was never anything wrong with you. There still isn't.